are back. You're listening to You Would Think, the Philly Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Collington, and joining me, as always, it's Mike Gillette.
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know, just another day in absolute paradise. Heading on vacation this week.
There you go.
Things are good, man.
Nice. You shipping up to Boston, huh?
Yeah, on Thursday. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Now, before we get, too deep into today's show, I'm here to tell you can find the show on Facebook, Instagram, Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, lastwordonsports.com, our YouTube page, and now Spotify.
Yeah. I
Feels
actually
good.
did something for once.
I know. I'm very proud of you.
It was like a 3-second process. We're good.
It's crazy. I know. I'm surprised you put that much effort into it.
I know. It's a lot.
But anyway, you can now find us on Spotify. Nothing's going to change about the show, but if you use Spotify as an RSS feed for your podcast, you can now find us there.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
It's easy.
Just making things more simple for you guys.
It's another place to listen. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We've said that before.
And I know I mentioned the YouTube page, and there may be some special content on there. I think I'm going to do a little bit of a Boston vlog.
There you go. It's more work for me.
Yeah, heading up there for a couple days with my girlfriend, and we're going to Salem, and we're going to the city, and going to the game Thursday night. World Series games 1 and 2 are on Tuesday and Wednesday in Boston, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in that city while
it's going to be
World
nuts.
Series games are happening.
I know we really haven't talked MLB playoff. I was surprised that they got through Houston so easily.
Yeah. And didn't I say something about that when your dad was on?
So surprised.
I said the Red Sox are definitely winning.
Houston's just a better team on paper, but
not really. They lost.
I know, but on paper they are.
They lost in what, 5?
Yeah, I know. I was surprised. Houston's a better team on paper. I was really surprised.
Well, Boston's a better team on the baseball field where it matters.
Apparently, yeah.
So Boston will take on the LA Dodgers in the World Series starting on Tuesday.
The Dodgers.
Who you got?
The Red Sox.
How many?
I don't buy the Dodgers.
How many games?
Let's go 6.
Okay. I was also thinking 6.
Yeah, Boston in 6.
Is the MLB playoffs, is it 2-3-2 for home games?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so game 6 will be in Boston.
Yep.
So the Dodgers have to win their 3 at home and win 1 in Boston. Yeah,
Right.
it's tough.
It's going to be, for sure. But
either way, I will also take the Red Sox. I will also take 6 games.
yeah, I don't buy the Dodgers. I know we really haven't talked Phillies, obviously, for a little while, but have you heard this new Manny Machado stuff that happened over the last week?
I heard something happened. I haven't heard what exactly it was.
Okay, so basically, he didn't run out a ground ball, basically, essentially, is what happened. And afterwards, he got asked about it, and he said, I'm not the type of player to run out a ground ball. I'm not going to be Johnny Hustle. I'm not going to slide into first base. That's not my personality. Which is a very strange time to do it, because this comes about, I don't know, 2 months before he becomes a free agent.
The free agent market.
Like, it seems like a bizarre time, because wouldn't teams want that Johnny Hustle, the guy that's going to bust his ball, every time out? It's just a weird time to do it.
If that's the attitude he actually has, if that wasn't some frustration, right, then he probably won't fit in Philly.
Yeah, people aren't going to take that at all.
Yeah, but you know what? We actually decided that we're going to do a little bit of a format change. If you've been listening to this show for a while, we usually talk Eagles first and kind of move into the Flyers in the second half of the show. We decided to mix things up. Flyer season is in full swing now, and we're actually going to talk about the Flyers in the first half of the show. We will still talk some Eagles, but it'll be towards the end. Kind of in the spot where we used to talk Flyers.
Yeah, we weren't really planning to talk any baseball, so that just came up.
And that's why I wanted to divert it, because we talked about specifically doing the Flyers first, and we're going down the World Series Phillies rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Let's knock out some Flyers talk. It was by all accounts, it's a relatively successful week.
Yeah.
Looking back, you went 2-1 this week. Now, you were beating Florida 5-2. And they came all the way back and tied it, and you had to win that game in a shootout.
Yep.
So that's not great.
Nope.
You played well against the Devils.
The Devils are the Devils. I don't think the record shows who they are, but it's a win nonetheless.
I think they're about where they were last year, which was in the playoffs hunt right until the end.
Yeah.
Squeak into the first round, get blown out by the Lightning.
Right.
I think they're about that team again. So the fact that the Flyers beat them is a good thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, sandwiched in the middle of that was a pretty ugly loss to Columbus. And now, that was a road game. They won their 2 They won their 2 home games this week. They lost their game on the road. Can't really complain about that, just on its base. But let's break it down. Florida probably should have won that game 5-2.
Yes, they should have. If it wasn't for one guy named Robert Hagg.
Oh, stop. It was not all on Robert Hagg.
It was. Listen, hockey is a game of momentum changes. It just is. They go up 5-2. They have all the momentum in the world. Florida feels defeated. You know, Robert Hagg gets basically a love tap from, I forget who the Florida player was. And then just for some reason engages in it. And instead of skating away, engages in it. Wayne Simmons tries to stick up for his teammate. He gets 12 minutes. He has 10 and a 2. They're on a power play. It was an ugly turn of it. And then right away they score on the power play. The momentum just shifts completely to Florida. It was just a complete momentum change.
Yeah, it was a momentum change, but at the same time, that's just as much on Wayne Simmons for engaging in the extracurricular activity, and also for on the rest of team leadership for not buckling down at that point.
Yeah, but still,
right, that's a penalty.
Still on Robert Hagg. And maybe he'll learn.
That's a penalty.
It's a learning experience for sure.
That's a penalty you have to kill.
Yeah, but this penalty kill's never been great. Like, they've never been good. So
no, I know they showed some signs later in the week of doing all right.
Yeah, but it was a bad time. And like, if it didn't happen right after he scored the 5th one, and Florida, doesn't feel defeated or whatever, like, then maybe it's a different situation, and I don't feel the same way. Right. But the fact that, like, it literally just switched the whole entire momentum. You could kind of feel Florida feel defeated. Like, it just it was just a bad time.
The coach made an interesting decision in that game.
What else is new?
He pulled Brian Elliott when the game was 5-4. Flyers were still in the lead, and he yanked Elliott to put in Pickard.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't really know.
I mean, I think it's a good call.
I don't know if it's a good call.
Elliott looked bad in that game.
Yeah, he didn't look great, but I mean, Pickard's not really a better goalie than Brian Elliott. I mean, I think it was more of a kick in the ass to the team, or more of a wake-up call kind of thing. Like, hey, guys, get your head out of your ass.
The way Brian Elliott was playing, he was going to blow that game. So why not put Pickard in, and if you get good Pickard, maybe he doesn't blow it. Right? You at least give yourself a shot at holding on to this lead if Pickard plays well. He only faced 3 shots in regulation.
And 1 goal?
Yeah. It was on a breakaway. I mean,
yeah.
Against Alexander Barkov.
Yeah, not many goals. Yeah, not many goalies are going to save an Alexander Barkov breakaway. So
you can't really put that one on Pickard too much. But either way, I liked the move because it kind of stopped some of that momentum flow coming from Pittsburgh, or from Florida rather.
Yeah.
They were feeling it. They scored a couple of quick ones on Elliott, and I think Hackstall did the right thing. Pulled the trigger. Made the goalie switch when you're up a goal, which just it doesn't happen. Usually when you make that goalie switch, it's when they tie the game or when they take a lead.
Right.
So the fact that he was willing to, make that decision when your team still has a 1-goal lead, I like it. Hackstall gets a lot of flack for being boring, for being safe. That was a ballsy call, and I like it.
I don't know if it was ballsy. I mean,
it's ballsy to pull your switch goalies up a goal.
Still, you still gave up a 3-goal lead. I mean, that has to fall on him somewhat, right?
Sure.
And I mean, you gave away a point.
But if you think about it, if you think about the goals that Florida scored coming back, they were scored on turnovers in the Florida end that Florida broke out with that stretch pass that they love.
Sure.
So, give the Flyers credit for not sitting back and playing safe and playing the game in their defensive zone. Yeah, they made turnovers in the offensive zone, and that's not great.
So turnovers are a big issue with this team. I mean, we'll talk about it in the Columbus game. But
I understand, but I think it's better than sitting back and just letting Florida come at you.
I mean, sure.
I would rather them, force the turnover in the defensive end and, they get the stretch pass out.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, you gave up a point to a team who is going to be right there at the end. Right in a playoff hunt. I mean,
will they though? They're 0-2-2.
It's way too early to talk about standings. But they were there last year. They lost the last game. If they won the last game of the regular season against, I believe it was Boston they were playing. If they won that game, Flyers are out of the playoffs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Pretty sure that's how it was.
No, because I'm pretty sure they did win that game. No, the Flyers.
Maybe
Flyers
it was right before that.
Flyers.
Either way, it was like a point. It was like a point or two.
Yeah, Flyers clinched their playoff berth with the game against the Rangers.
Right. Maybe
if the Flyers had lost that game, it would have come down to the last game.
Okay, there you go.
But no,
But
the
still,
Flyers
they
sealed
were
their fate.
they were
Either way,
one or 2 points behind the Flyers.
And they're expected to be just as good this year. Florida kind of rests on the strength of Bobby Lowe.
Yeah, and
if Roberto Luongo
he's not healthy right now, I don't believe.
He's not healthy right now.
Yeah, so.
But if Roberto Luongo is, what they think he is, then they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
Right, because all their young players just got better.
Yeah, you have one more year of Barkov, one more year of Trocheck. You added Mike Hoffman.
Yeah.
One more year of Ekblad.
Huberdeau.
Yeah.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team. There's no doubt about it. I think they're the fourth best team in that division.
Sure.
And it's a pretty hard drop off. But either way, they're expected to be in the playoff race.
Right.
But
you gave up a point to them.
I also think that the Flyers shouldn't care about giving a point to Florida because they should, if they play like they did on Saturday, they should be comfortably in a playoff spot. They shouldn't be worrying about the 1 point they gave to Florida in October.
They should be worrying about it because what happens about if you play like you played on Thursday?
Listen, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, this team is just inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent.
Right. Right now, we're recording on Sunday morning like we usually do. They play Colorado tomorrow night in the Wells Fargo. If they play like they played on Saturday, I'm in. Right now, I'm kind of sitting on that fence that I was sitting on with the Eagles last week. You've played like you can play once. Now prove it to me and do it again.
Right. And listen, I'm not going to make the mistake like I did last year.
How's your fantasy team doing?
2 weeks into I haven't checked that yet. But I'm not going to make the mistakes that I did, last season when they went down like 2 weeks into the season. I said they're not making the playoffs.
Right.
I'm not going to do the same thing. I mean, it's early. It's too early to tell. I just need to see more consistent play. I mean, Couturier isn't what he was last year, and I didn't really expect him to be. I know a lot of people in Philly did. Right. I didn't expect him to be that type of player again. Nolan looks good. He's healthy. He's back. So it was good to see him back. When did he come back? Saturday?
Yeah, he played Saturday.
Yeah, so it's good to see him back. So, I mean, they're just going to probably have to just tread water until JVR comes back.
Yeah, Coots has 3 points so far.
Yeah. In what, 8 games they've played?
Something like that.
7, 8 games?
Jake and Claude are tied with 11.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to tell me that Claude's not pulling his weight, that's not true.
No, it's not true at all.
My favorite is, he's a bad captain. They shouldn't have the C on him.
No, that's a bad
that irks
bad
me.
Take.
That's the coldest take in the world.
Yeah, it's a bad take. But
also, Robert Hagg is tied for third on the team in points.
Is he really?
Yep. It's Voracek and Claude are first with 11. Wayne second with 7. And then it's a 4-way tie with Lawton, Hagg, Konechny, and Gudas with 5.
What the hell happened to Robert Hagg?
Dude, he's got 3 assists this year from shots he took from the point that got tipped in.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of puck luck there.
Okay.
That is.
No, listen, I understand.
Deflections
but I haven't looked at his numbers from last year. But I'd be willing to bet he's shooting the puck a lot more this year.
Oh, maybe.
He looks more aggressive offensively.
Maybe.
And I don't know if he's a 20-goal scorer.
No, he's not.
I don't know.
There's not many 20. You have maybe 1 or 2 20-goal defensemen every year.
Ivan
Provorov, like Carlson and Ekman Larson.
Ivan Provorov led the league in goals by a defenseman last year, and he only had 17.
Right.
Okay, fine. Is he a 15-goal scorer? That's a more reasonable plateau, and I don't know if he is. But if he keeps shooting the puck like this, he's going to get him.
Maybe. But I'm not worried about Robert Hagg. He's actually been surprisingly pleasant.
He's been their most consistent defenseman.
Yeah, he has. I need to see more from Ivan Provorov. Like, what the hell is wrong with Provorov?
I know you missed the first couple periods of Saturday's game.
Yeah.
He looked better. He's still coming along. He's not back to, the Russian machine, Ivan Provorov.
That's still concerning. I mean, I expected him to light the world on fire from day one.
Yeah, but you don't know how much
season.
You don't know how much of his summer was rehab.
I mean, fine.
If he was rehabbing until August and couldn't get back on the ice until August, he's still kind of working his way back.
Okay, but it's not even about the style or the talent of that he's playing. It's just a bad decision making that he's doing, and that's the part that's concerning. I mean, just turnover after turnover, blown coverage after blown coverage. He just hasn't been playing well.
I think he relied on his skill for the last 2 years, and if he's still coming back from a little bit of that nagging shoulder stuff, if he wasn't able to get on the ice too much, if he is still getting himself in real regular season shape, then he can't rely on that. And I think it's costing him a little bit.
I mean, maybe.
Now, over the long haul, I think this is good for him because he's learning that he can't just rely on having the speed to catch the guy who just beat you.
Right.
And I think he's learning that he's got to play a smarter game. He's always been very good. And last year, he played a lot of the season pretty smart.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
For the most part. So if that's what he's struggling with right now, then I trust he'll get it back. He started to come back a little bit on Saturday. He looked better. He looked more present. He looked more in the play.
They did split up Pro V and Ghost.
They split up Pro V and Ghost. Another good coaching decision.
That's too early to call it a good
credit.
It's too early to call it a good coaching decision.
It sure seems like a good one. You won the game.
It's one game.
Yeah,
though.
and you're undefeated.
Sure, it's one game.
You're okay, even if it's just a message. He looked great.
Yeah.
Ghost looked great.
I like the idea of splitting them up only because after them two, I mean, I know Hag's been decent, but after those two, defense dries up real quick.
Right.
I mean, Gudis isn't very good.
Well, and I want to talk about him.
Folin, McDonald, they're not very good.
I want to talk about Gudis because on Saturday, he was your best defenseman. I firmly think that Radko Gudis played near his ceiling on Saturday. He played a great game.
He's been playing decent the beginning of the season, but I mean, when is he going to just grill somebody from the back and get a 10-game suspension?
Listen, that's
like,
something
it's going to happen.
That's something you're always worried about.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, when Tom Wilson comes back, he's going to go right on the top line. They're not going to worry about it.
Right.
Like, so at a certain point, you have to let Radko Gudis go and just hope he doesn't do it again.
Yeah, but I also expect him to.
About him.
No, but I also expect him to be bad again. Like,
that's fair.
With how he played in the playoffs, I mean, he was the worst player on the ice.
But the pairing of him and Sanheim has been working really well.
Yeah.
And if you saw the pairings for Saturday, it was Hag and Provorov, Ghost and Folin, Sanheim and Gudis. And Sanheim and Gudis...
Folin, that traffic cunt.
Sanheim and Gudis, as your bottom pair, is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's pretty good. Now, I know that means you have Christian Folin in your top four, which isn't ideal.
No, it's not.
And hopefully that's Philippe Meyer's spot next year.
He hasn't looked good in Lehigh Valley.
I understand, but it's the Miners are a little different because the game is played at such a different...
Yeah, but if you're an NHL player, you should be able to dominate. Yeah, and he's looked bad.
I wonder what it was. Was the extended look in training camp... Did that shake him?
I don't know about that.
Because it seems like he's been off.
Well, I mean...
I don't think he's hurt.
Nobody was really expecting... big things when the Flyers signed him. I mean, he went undrafted.
Right.
So he went undrafted for a reason, right?
The hype among the fan base over the last 2 years or so
is that he's Chris Pronger, which is nuts.
I never said that.
Well, some people said he's going to be an elite defenseman, number one defenseman.
People think he's the next Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah.
And he's just not. Then, the next John Carlson. But if he's a top four guy, let's say, fast forward 3 years, and your top six is Ghost and Provorov, Sanheim and Myers, Hag and whatever. If Myers is the guy, great. If he's not, you didn't waste anything to get him. You didn't waste a draft pick on him. You didn't trade anything. You just signed him.
Right. Yeah.
I think the fan base is too hyped, but wait, this fan base has never gotten too excited about a prospect ever.
Never.
Anybody heard of Carter Hart? How's he doing in Lehigh Valley?
It's too early for that.
I know.
Come on.
I know, but apparently he struggled a little bit down there. I haven't really looked at his numbers, but apparently he's had a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
But again, you expect some of that because you're adjusting.
Yeah, and he's actually playing against adults and not 17, 15 16-year-olds.
Right?
So, I mean, the game is a lot quicker from the OHL to the AHL. Or the WHL to the AHL.
That's why I think the people that were calling for him to go straight to the NHL need to take a chill pill.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure there's people still are saying that.
Sure. And I was kind of one of them. I'm not going to lie. If he's going to adjust, I'd be okay with him adjusting at this level. But I think Hextall made the right decision.
Yeah.
for now at least.
Right.
Now, yeah, it's frustrating when Brian Elliott lets in a soft goal, or when Calvin Pickard lets in a soft goal, or when Michael Neuwirth's on the injured reserve again. Like, it's frustrating because you want Carter Hart to come up, you want the future to be here now, you want the franchise guy in that net right now. But he probably just needs a little more time, and until he gets his feet under him. And again, Michael Neuwirth comes back. They probably waive Pickard, I would imagine. And then later, when Neuwirth gets hurt again, because he's going to, because he's Michael Neuwirth.
Yes, he is.
Maybe at that point, you give Hart a look, depending on how he's done in Lehigh Valley.
Right.
And if not, bring Alex Lyon up. He was a serviceable backup last year.
I mean, it's frustrating with the amount of goals that they're letting up. I mean, the Flyers are second. They have the second most amount of goals against in the league. Second. Okay. I mean,
but they're also, I think, third or fourth in the league in goals scored.
Yeah, they're third, I think.
Yeah. So,
but still, you still got to keep the puck out of your net. I mean, they're second worst. The worst team in the league is Detroit, which anybody could have saw that coming.
Yeah, Detroit's goal differential is like minus 14.
They have more goals against than the Maple Leafs, and we know how bad their defense is. Yep. More than the Arizona Coyotes, more than the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, these are bad teams. Yeah, and they're letting up more goals than these teams.
Toronto has a bad defense, but they have good goaltending. Freddie Anderson is a bona fide number one goalie.
Yeah.
He's in the top 10 in the league. I might say top 5.
No, I disagree there.
Name 5 goalies who are better than
Vasilevsky, Hellebuck,
2,
Carey Price,
3,
Henrik Lundqvist,
4.
I could keep going.
Okay, please keep going. That's 4.
Okay.
I asked for 5.
All right.
Can you keep going?
Pekka Rinne, Jonathan Quick.
I don't know. We've gotten into the second tier, and I think Freddie Anderson.
Keep naming them.
I think Freddie Anderson belongs in that tier.
I mean,
He's not Hellebuck, Price, or Vasilevsky. He's probably in the Lundqvist, Rinne, Quick tier.
I'll take Rinne, Quick, or Lundqvist over Anderson.
Anyway, we're not a Leafs podcast. Either way, we're stuck with Brian Elliott.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
but regardless, okay. So you won a good game on Tuesday, or you blew a lead. Thursday, you played a sloppy, awful game in Columbus. I don't really want to talk about that because there's not much to talk about. Saturday, you get Nolan Patrick back, and you play the Devils in the Wells Fargo Center at 1:00.
I think there's a little bit to talk about the Thursday game against Columbus.
Okay, go for it.
The defense was brutal, like brutally bad.
Yeah. We've talked about that a lot.
And I've talked about, or I said it on Twitter about the goal that was scored by Anthony Duclair, where everybody's going nuts about this amazing goal. You saw this goal, right?
Yeah, I was watching the game.
Okay. I just want to make it, heard that it started with a weak turnover by Raffl.
Yep.
Okay. And then when Duclair goes down the ice, he falls to the ice, and you have 2 Flyers right there that can just either knock him down, swat at the puck, do something. They both stare at it. So then it was a bad defensive play.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was just a weak 5-hole goal let up by Pickard. Like, it wasn't anything special. So
no,
I'm tired of hearing that narrative. It was just a bad play by the Flyers.
It was a series of mistakes by the Flyers.
Yeah. Just from all the way down the ice. The goal should have never happened for multiple reasons.
I'll give Duclair credit because he did have to put it away.
I mean,
sure. He did have to have the wherewithal to get back up and find the puck.
The play should have never happened.
Listen, I agree with you, but I'll give Duclair a little bit more credit than you will, because it seems like you're painting it as a 100% of Flyers mistake.
It was.
And that's fine, but I'll give him some opportunistic credit for making the play.
He still got to put the puck in the net, sure.
Exactly.
But it's just a series of bad mistakes by the Flyers. Right. And you're not going to win many games with that many mistakes.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen Jekyll and Hyde from the Flyers defense this year.
Right.
When Hag plays well, when Gudas plays well, the Flyers defense does a good job. When, Andrew McDonald is in the lineup, they're not going to do well.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. It depends. If Robert Hag needs to be your best or second best defenseman, you're in trouble.
100%.
If Robert Hag is your third best defenseman and Radko Gudas is your fourth best defenseman, you're all right. You're all right. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
But you need Ivan Provorov to come back.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know what's been wrong. That's the thing. I don't know if he's fighting through a nagging injury or...
Then take time out. Get healthy.
I know. I would rather you take 2 games off in October than
Yeah.
I mean, do what Wayne Simmons did, and at the end of the season, go, "Hey, look at all these things that were wrong with me all year.
Yeah.
I tore my pelvis and broke my ankle
In training camp.
Right.
In training camp.
It's unreal what he played through last year. And by the way, he looks good.
Yeah, he does.
He's back.
Yeah.
He's back to the Wayne train.
You could basically kiss him goodbye.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's leaving.
I think your only
He's going to
chance
go get paid.
Your only chance of keeping him was if he had another bad season,
Exactly.
and you could get him for $3.5 or $4 million.
See you later, Wayne. Go enjoy it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they try to flip him,
They won't.
or
If they're in a playoff spot or close to it, there's no reason to trade him.
call Toronto Simmons for Nylander.
They wouldn't do that.
I know.
No, they wouldn't do that. Get out of here.
Would you do Simmons in a first for Nylander? I'm not saying if Toronto would. But would you?
I don't know. It depends on what Nylander wants contract wise, because I don't believe in giving him $8 million because he's not that type of player.
I think he'd probably want that.
Yeah.
Something
So I wouldn't pay him $8 million, and that's the reason the Leafs aren't. They don't believe he's that player either.
Would you give him a 5-year bridge deal for 6?
Yeah, I'd
6.5?
probably do that.
Okay. Because I think that's what he wants. He either wants 5 years and is willing to take a little less, but if you're buying UFA years from him, he's gonna want $8 million.
He's not an $8 million player.
I think his deal with the Leafs ends up being 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Probably, or he gets traded. But I don't think he's an $8 million player.
No,
I mean, you look around the league. I mean, Pasternak, I think, is a better player, and he's making 6.
6.6.
Yeah, 6.6. You have Dylan Larkin, who's a number 1 center, making 6.1. I mean,
Yeah, he's a number 1 center in Detroit, though.
he's a number 1 center on most teams in the league.
Regardless, I don't know if I would do that. Wayne Simmons and a first for William Nylander.
I don't think I would, only because I'm not paying Nylander $8 million. Now, if we could agree to something, like you said, $6 million, sure, man, I'd probably do that.
Over 5 years,
Yeah,
and that gets him
probably
to
do
the
that.
end of his RFA time.
I'd probably do that.
You would do that?
Probably.
Okay. Do you think Toronto would do that?
I don't know. I really don't.
I think they might.
They'd
They
consider
love
it.
Wayne Simmons.
They'd consider it.
Wayne Simmons is from the Toronto area.
Right.
He's from Scarborough, I believe. And
I don't know.
Oshawa,
I don't
Scarborough. He's from the area.
I don't know Canadian geography.
I know. He's from the area. He grew up a Leafs fan.
Right.
And they love him up there.
I bet they do.
They got 1 year left. They can fit his deal this year. They might be able to re-sign him long-term a little cheaper than a Nylander long-term deal would be.
Right.
I don't know, man. It kind of makes sense.
I mean, do you need an Nylander here, though? I mean, he's not very good offensively. He's weak along the boards. You already have a skill, all these skill guys all around the lineup in Konechny, Voracek, Giroux. So, I mean, I just don't, even Lawton. I don't know if you really need that type of player.
By the way, Lawton played a great. He was your best. He was your best forward on Saturday.
Lawton looks very
Lawton
good.
has really impressed me.
Yeah, he looked very good through the first 8 games or so.
I wonder if this is a case of Sean Couturier syndrome, where through the first 5 or 6 years of his career, Sean Couturier was considered a mediocre player, a third-line defensive center, and then last year we saw him actually get real ice time. Career highs all across the board. He had an incredible season.
Right.
I wonder if Scott Lawton would do better with a little bit of extra ice time.
Yeah, probably.
And he's gotten a little bit of extra ice time this year. The early injuries have helped him, right?
Right.
Patrick missed a couple games. JVR is still out. All these things are leading to more ice time for Scott Lawton.
Yeah.
And he is running with it.
Yeah, he is. Well,
he looks phenomenal.
Yeah, well, he's put up points in juniors, and I think when he came to the Flyers originally,
Everybody put up points in juniors.
Well, yeah, but when he came to the Flyers originally, they wanted him to work on his defensive game. They said, "You're not a number 1 center.
Right.
You don't have the skill set to be that. Work on your defensive game. We want you to be a defensive center here."
Yeah.
And so he did that, and now he's finally getting some ice time, and showing his offensive side. So
Yeah, he scored the...
he looks and he looks fast. Like, he looks quick.
Right. He scored the second empty netter against the Devils on Saturday.
Oh, an empty netter. Must mean a
listen,
lot.
The Flyers have had a hard time hitting the empty net
Fine.
the last couple of years. So, either way, he's playing really well.
He is. He's playing really well.
And he's
for sure.
always played with a little bit of an edge to his game. A little bit. He has no problem going into the dirty areas or the post whistle scrums. He's the kind of player that Philadelphia could fall in love with.
No, he's turning into the guy that is. It seems like he's taking it personal that he's never really gotten a fair crack.
Yeah.
Like he said,
I agree.
he's proven himself into the lineup.
Yeah, at this
essentially.
point, you're making it impossible for them to take you out.
Yeah.
Like when JVR comes back, there's no way Hackstall can scratch Lawton.
No.
You have to look somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whether at Laterra or Weeze or whoever. Like, you can't look at Scott Lawton because he's been
Right.
incredible.
Yeah, it'll be somebody on the fourth line, whether it's Weasley Terrier or Raffle.
If your third line, when JVR comes back, if your third line is JVR, Lawton, Simmons, that's a good line, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it's Lindblom, Lawton, Simmons, or JVR, Lawton, Voracek, like whatever combination you want to do in there, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And if Scott Lawton is, like, let's say Scott Lawton's ceiling is second line center, which he's not going to be on this team just because you have Sean Couturier and Nolan Patrick.
Right.
But if on other teams he could be a second line center and he's your third line center, he could be like a Nazem Kadri.
Right.
That's how I look at Scott Lawton. He's kind of a Nazem Kadri. He can score. He can irritate. He's good defensively. He can shut other teams down. And Nazem Kadri's their third line center, and it's probably the best 1, 2, 3 centers in the league are up in Toronto.
Yeah. Well, you have John Tavares and Austin Matthews.
Right. Well, I mean,
they're two of the probably top 5 centers.
Pittsburgh's
in
up there.
the league.
Malkin, Crosby, Brassard.
I still don't think Crosby has a goal yet
Good.
this season.
Good.
So,
He doesn't deserve it.
hey, listen, I know people hate him here. I've learned to respect his game a little bit. He's one of the best centers ever.
Sure.
One of the best players ever.
Sure.
But when he's on the ice, I'm gonna boo him. I hate him when he's on the ice, but I respect what he's done.
Yep. I can't wait till the Stadium Series.
Sure. What when the Flyers get pummeled
No.
like they always do in these outdoor games?
Nope. By the way, you know who's out there sniping? Former Flyer Zach Rinaldo.
I saw this.
Did you see that?
Like, where the hell did this come from?
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Neither did I.
I thought he was still suspended in the AHL somewhere.
Yeah, apparently he plays for the Nashville Predators.
And he's sniping.
It was coming down the right side of the ice and just let an absolute snipe top left corner. And then afterwards jumped over the defense. Like, it looked pretty.
Yeah.
It was a pretty goal.
Imagine if Zach Rinaldo gets a ring before Claude Giroux.
Jesus. Yeah. We've seen those things here in Philly.
I
So
know. It's just
it
hurts.
happens. Yeah.
Zach Rinaldo doesn't deserve a ring. He's kind of scummy.
I've always liked Ronaldo.
Yeah, you would. You also like Tom Wilson.
I do like Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Tom Wilson, you would love it if he played here.
No.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
Tom Wilson.
Dirty.
No, he's not. Okay,
He's
he puts
dirty.
No,
He deserved every game of that 20-game suspension.
we've gone on. We've
Not on the podcast. We haven't.
No, he didn't deserve 20 games there. It was a shoulder-to-shoulder hit. He caught a guy with his head down coming across the center of the ice. Keep your damn head up. You're in the National Hockey League. You need to keep your head up.
Was the Zach Aston Reese hit in the playoffs? Was that shoulder to shoulder
Yes.
too? Oh, then how did Zach Aston Reese break his jaw?
It doesn't, because the initial point of contact was the
Because
shoulder.
he hit him in the head.
No, it wasn't. It was a shoulder.
If you go back and look at that hit that he got suspended for,
Shoulder. It wasn't shoulder to shoulder. It was shoulder to chest.
he put his shoulder right in his collarbone.
No, he didn't.
Or right in his cheekbone.
No, he didn't.
He took his head off.
No, he didn't.
Anyway,
And first off, Zach Aston Reese has a really punchable face, so I'm fine with that anyway.
you can let us know what you think about the Tom Wilson suspension on Twitter at YWT Podcast.
Yeah, you had a month to think about it. So.
Yeah. Well, he's still out for 2 more months.
Yeah, I know.
Either way, by the way, I think it's despicable that he was out there for the banner raise in full equipment, in full uniform, in the skates.
I mean, whatever. You didn't play, so
if you're suspended, you're suspended. If you want to let him stand on the bench in a suit, fine. Don't put him on the ice in skates. That's disrespectful.
What do you think of the Elias Pettersson hit that Mike Matheson gave him, where he tried to put him through the crust of the earth, right straight to the core?
I think this happened before last week's show.
Did it?
Matheson ended up getting suspended for 2 games, and he's served that suspension already.
Yeah.
I think 2 games is about right.
Yeah. I mean, he tried to put him through the ice. I think it was worse hit than the Tom Wilson hit, personally.
No,
but
it was not.
Yes, it was. He grabbed him by the neck, lifted him 4 feet off the ground, and body slammed him.
There's a limit to how much you can get hurt falling from
Not necessarily.
standing
Not when the
height
guy
to the ground.
Not when the guy that is hitting you is what, 6'4", 6'5",
Doesn't matter.
200 plus pounds, and Elias Pettersson is an 18-year-old kid that weighs 150, 160.
There's only so much you can get hurt from falling from there. The Tom
Not
Wilson
necessarily,
whip-
not necessarily, because his head did crush the ice.
Anyway.
and his neck his neck could have snapped.
the Tom Wilson hit could have broken that guy's fucking neck.
No,
Could have broken his neck. Could have ended his career easily.
keep your head. Well, what career? Oscar Sundqvist is not a player.
It doesn't matter.
He's
It's
what
not Tom
career?
Wilson's right.
Anyway, no,
Anyway.
he skated with his head down. Keep your
matter.
head up, and you can avoid that
not
hit.
matter.
You had the puck on your stick coming through the center of the ice. I mean, in the night, and that's what Scott Stevens made a living off of.
Yeah, so what you're saying is Lindros should have kept his head up, and
Yes.
it's Lindros' fault
Yes.
that Stevens hit him.
Yes,
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the greatest flyer of all time. Totally. Moving on. We're gonna go.
I can't do this. I quit. I quit this podcast.
No, you don't.
Well,
Stop
I quit.
it. We're gonna talk some Eagles. We do have a game today, so we are gonna talk about this a little bit. But first, we have the return. In case you didn't know, it's basketball season, and we bring you the return of 7 or 6 seconds, where we talk about the Philadelphia 76ers in 7 or 6 seconds. Go ahead, Mike.
The Sixers started the season 2-1 with wins against the Bulls and the Magic, and a loss to the Celtics.
Sure, moving on. So the Eagles play Carolina today.
Yeah.
It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Philly's already starting to fire up for it because it's an Eagles game, and obviously.
Yep.
I got stuck in game traffic coming down here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Passed a
I
bunch
believe
of
it.
people wearing Eagles jerseys.
I believe it.
At
It's
9
it's-
a.m.
Yeah. It's almost a going away party because your team is going to London next week.
Yeah, and I think the team is looking past, or at least the fan base is looking past today's game a little bit.
You think so?
I think so. I think everybody's so hyped about, playing Saxonville in London, and it's a whole big event. I think you're kind of looking past the Carolina Panthers.
I hope not, because if that's the case, you're
You're
going
going
to
to
get
lose.
pummeled. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what Cam Newton shows up.
Yeah.
If you have Super Cam, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but if you have Crybaby Cam, then
You're in great shape.
Yeah.
It depends. And that's why I said it depends on what version of Cam Newton shows up. I think Carson Wentz still needs to prove it to me. He's only had one good game since coming back.
Yeah, and it
One
was
great
against, and
game
it was
since
against
coming back.
Giants.
Right, and it's against the Giants, and we've talked about that.
But he played well, decision wise too. So that was a plus for me.
Yeah, but he also had more time to make the decisions because the Giants
Yeah.
are terrible.
Well, fine.
Carolina's going to be more aggressive.
Well, the
and
Giants' defensive line.
Jacksonville's going to be aggressive.
The Giants' defensive line actually isn't bad. I mean, they still have
Yeah.
Jason Pierre-Paul. I mean, they're a decent defensive line.
Sure, but that Carolina's going to be more aggressive, and next week Jacksonville is going to be very aggressive because that's what Jacksonville does.
Well, I mean,
So-
I'm curious to see what Jacksonville does today against Houston.
Right.
Because the last two games, I mean, we know how mediocre the Dallas Cowboys are.
Yep.
The Dallas Cowboys
I
put
think
up like
mediocre is
40.
being friendly.
The Dallas Cowboys put up like 40 against Jacksonville.
Yeah,
They dismantled them.
and we'll see how that goes, but at the same time, you have to get another good performance out of the Eagles.
Yeah, for
If you
sure.
have a bad performance today and you got to sit on that plane to London, I assume tonight or tomorrow, that's a long flight if your coach isn't very happy with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Give me a score for today.
A score for today.
Yeah, what version of the Eagles shows up?
I don't know. So I'm looking at the Panthers schedule just to see kind of who they played. So week one they beat the Cowboys. Week one's early though. You can't really say anything. Then they lost to the Falcons, beat the Bengals, beat the Giants, and then lost to the Redskins. So they're coming off of a loss to the Redskins.
Feels bad.
Yeah. So I mean, they're gonna be angry. They're gonna have something to prove at this point. And maybe you're right. Maybe the Eagles overlooked them.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say 24-17
Who?
Panthers.
Wow.
Yeah. Feel bad.
I think this game is going to look a lot like the Tampa Bay game,
Okay.
where they start strong, they start aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles aren't ready for it. You catch them flat-footed. Carolina 28, Philadelphia 21.
Okay. And now that we both predicted that, they're going to dismantle.
Yeah, they're
this,
gonna win by
the
3
Gi-
touchdowns.
Yeah, so
Carson Wentz is going to throw for 410 yards. So pick him up in your fantasy pool now, kids, even though the game's over by the time you're hearing this. Yep. Either way, now that we've both predicted an Eagles loss, they're obviously winning, so we'll cut this part out of the show. No, we won't. But is there anything else you had to say about the Eagles?
Not really. I mean,
no, there's really not much to say.
No.
We'll talk next week about the London game. We'll be recording during the London game, so maybe a little bit of live updates.
Yeah.
To figure things out. But
I mean, I woke up this morning and there was a football game on, and it was weird. I don't like it, so I don't know how I'm going to feel next week.
Why? It's like that on Saturday with college games.
Yeah. Well, college games are noon.
Okay. It's not that much earlier.
It's an hour earlier than the regular football games.
Okay.
I mean, this game started at 9:30. I woke up at like, what, 9 or probably 9:45.
You woke up at about 9:50, my man.
Yeah. So, and then I woke up and I was like, whoa, there's a football game on. I forgot.
Right.
But that game was in halftime. The Chargers are up 10-6 to the Tennessee Titans. So there's your update.
Either way, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to be going to Boston this week. So if you're in Boston, hit me up.
Are you meeting up with Charlie?
I'm going to try to. I messaged him on Twitter, but I think I had a problem with my Twitter messages. So, Charlie, if you listen to this, shoot me a DM. We'll talk about grabbing dinner on Thursday. It'll be cool.
Kyle will grab you a beer. He'll buy you a beer. Don't worry.
Yeah, I will. Anyway, so if you're going to be in Boston, you want to meet up, you can hit us up at YWT Podcast on Twitter and let us know. Or me at K Collington and Mike at Mike_Giletto, but he doesn't matter. He's not going. I'm also doing a little bit of a vlog this week, which will be on our YouTube channel.
That's if your girlfriend allows it.
She'll allow it. So that'll be on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us over there and subscribe to see that. You can also find the show on Facebook, Instagram, Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcast, lastwordonsports.com, and now Spotify. So I really think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
We made a World Series prediction. We made an Eagles prediction. Flyers have a couple games this week. I say they go 2-1. What do you think? Real quick.
2-1. Yeah, that sounds about right. Hopefully.
You know what? I'm going to go 1-1-1.
Hold on. Who did they play again?
Colorado Monday, Boston Thursday, the New York Islanders on Saturday. Boston is the only road game.
Okay, I go 1-2. I think they lose to Colorado and lose to Boston, win against the Islanders.
God, I really don't want to see a loss. All right. We're gonna get out of here.
Boston's good. Boston's a very good team.
And we'll see you next week.